Hey, stop scratching. You gotta quit. Yeah, swat me. Rawr. Say hello. Say hello, everybody. All right, you're going in the other room for a few minutes. I'll see you in a bit. All right, so cat's put away. Let's make some grommets. This is simple. The tools up here. Need a pair of needle nose pliers, X-Acto. Twine, needle, beeswax. Where's my cake of beeswax? Well, I'll find it in a minute. It's somewhere in here probably. So, this is pretty simple. There we go. Oh, and hemp rope. And my yardstick. Where's the yardstick? There. Okay, we got everything we need. This is pretty simple. I should have had to do this in the stream yesterday, but I will go over it again because I have more to do. And that's kind of how this stream is working. So, what we're going to do, right this way, so we get a little better angle. This is pretty simple. We're making these. So, to do this, get this out of the way. Kind of a historical Mr. Rogers. Pull my slippers off. All right. Usually what I do is go about a finger width over from the seam, and you can feel it. It's maybe not apparent. Are you able to see this? Yeah, all right. So about a finger width over, put the dull side of the blade to your, where you are. About a finger's width over, pull it up and just shove through. You're just opening up the center of that. Then you want to take the needle nose. What you really want is a fin, which is a solid piece of metal or hard wood, but this is what I've got right now. So you just work that in there and open that hole up a bit. You don't need to get it all the way through. You can see how far up it is. It's about midway down toward the wire cutter part. Anyway, open it up. I'm going to go ahead and do these all at once. So just lay your finger alongside there, find the point, pull it up so you don't cut the floor, and push through. Make a cross with it. Center it on there and go through. Yeah, I'll just do them all at once. A little bit lower. Oh, and centered vertically on the hem. So since the hem is about 1.5 inches, in this case, we want about 3/4 of an inch up. Make sure the blade's tight in the holder. All right, so there's that. I'm going to turn the blade around just so I don't accidentally cut myself. Maybe I'm not. I'm just going to do that as it is. Don't put it away. Got a little kitten running around. I don't want her to get hurt. So, and I won't need that again for these grommets. I have more to do on the doors, but for now this is that use. All right, so now just go through, open up all the holes, front to back, back to front. We're going to thread a piece of twine, and instead of sewing singly, I'm going to sew it. I'm going to leave it doubled. going to make a cross starting on one side of this. I'll show you actually, I'll just show it in a minute. Basically, you're just making an 8-pointed star. So you make a cross and then you go in between the points of that cross, subdivide it into 8, and you're done. You can do it with more. I've done it with more, and then I saw some photos of originals from the period of the Revolution. They were done with 8. And so I figured this is a private soldier's tent or a common soldier's tent. It is not not necessary to be fancier or finer than they used in the period. That's what I'm after, is the closest approximation of what was actually used during the Revolution. And it seemed to me to make sense that when they have hundreds of tents to make, they're going with what works. And you see that in woodwork and all kinds of things for the time. There's, where is my wax? Right here. I'm just going to run this really lightly across here just to, there, one more pass. It doesn't need to be fancy. These are getting out in the field. There's a war on, so that's how I do them. You know what? There's enough on here that I can do one, so I'll do that with this one. You want to trim it even. So this is doubled. Let me see if I can get it to where it change to the other view. I'm going to try to hold this up to the camera so you can see it. In fact, I'm going to lower my camera and apologize for any vertigo that may be induced by this camera movement. Try to keep it smooth. Let's move this forward a bit. This might help a little. I can't zoom the camera. I don't know how to do that yet. The more of this I do, I think I'll endeavor to be a better cinematographer. But for now, this is what we get. Best I can do. There, that'll work, right? Okay, so, okay. All right, so this is real simple. All right, so I've got my holes. I've worked them inside and out, front to back, back to front. Now, there's my needle. It's up here. All right. Just keeping track of my stuff. Taking more time than the actual sewing. There we go. All right, so going in on the back, at the top of the hem, I'm just going to push through to the front and leave a bit of a tail there. You're going to use that to tie a knot later. So just going down through the center of that hole, work over toward the seam. And there's the first leg of the cross. So I'm going to go back down into the center, and go down here at the bottom, come up, back into this, and do not want to catch that there. So go back in, and then come out to the side here. Through the top. And now we're just going to go back in and we're going to subdivide this. Here's our cross, right? Well, it's going to be a cross once that goes over. So this goes in, go between these 2 points, back into the center, go between these 2 points, and so on. So you've gone all the way around. One more. I'm going to go in here. Down in to the center. I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to tie a square knot here with this piece that's attached at the needle end and the piece that we initially left there. So I'm going to just tie a square knot left over right, right over left, trim it, and you're done. That's all there is to it. Well, then you can run the fit into it again just to open it back up, you know, because when you sew it, it alters it a bit. I just like to do that. but I usually wait to do that till just before I put the rope through. It keeps it opened up enough that you can get it in there without jamming up the rope or untwisting it or anything like that. It just makes it simpler. So there we go. There's our knot. Snip it, leave a little bit hanging on there, and that's all there is to it. So let me thread this piece of twine on here. I'll do the rest of them, and then we'll run the ropes through, and then this is complete. That's all there is to do on this section. My twine, and you want to just find the end and match the ends up, and smooth it, pinch until you get to the needle, and then you can use the whole thing. There we go. All right, so now we're just going to run through. I'm not going to describe it again. I've done that, but open it up just before you work on it. Makes it a little easier. Find your needle. That's it. When you're pulling these, you don't want to pull them too tight. Just, again, look what's the rest of the stitching, you know. You don't need to jam it in there. Just snug it down. This is just a little bit of ablative protection for the hole in the fabric. A little bit of distributing the stress, you know, it spreads it out over a wider area. That's all there is to that. So we've got a couple of them done now. And they look consistent, they look nice. So, carrying on. Got enough on here for one more, so let's do this one. Again, up through the top, make the cross, and then down into the center and split them. Complete too. Once you get the rhythm on these, the technique's simple, so once you get a rhythm, they fly. And I've never had to replace any on mine. I said earlier, I've had that, you know, the heavy linen tent, the duck, you know, as it was called at the time sometimes. Similar material to this. Had that for 12 years coming up in April, and never had I stretch my legs. I've never had a problem with any of them falling apart or coming loose or anything like that. If they ever do, just get some linen twine and, you know, stitch them back up. I have seen photos of antique repairs on these, so I know it was done at the time. I just never needed it on mine, but of course, when we're reenacting, we're not using them daily or most of the week, you know, over a period of years as they would have at the time. You know, ours over 12 years, I mean, even if we, you know, maybe we have a few months of use of them over, you know, a number of years, and we care for them pretty carefully. They're not thrown in the back of a horse-drawn wagon, dragged over a mountain and left in the rain and stuff like that, you know. So chances are you'll never need to redo them, but if you ever do, it's a simple technique, and it's authentic to fix stuff, you know. So if you're going for some real living history, repair your stuff. And a lot of times the field repairs that people made are, you know, some people were skilled, but others figured it out because they needed to. What do we have? I've got 4 more. I'm going to sit in the settee up here. I can't stay on the floor too much longer. I'm going to not be able to walk. Let me extend the tripod. Sorry for the camera, but I'll just whack it out if I can here. How about that? That's a little better. So let me extend this. I'm going to set up here. Tighten this down. And yeah, that'll be better. We're going to use twine, needle, material. Let's go. All right. Bag these last few out, and then we're going to add rope. Let's see here. Any questions in the chat? Let's find out. Anybody here? No. Okay. All right. Where's my grommet? Right here. Okay. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay.
this might even be better than where I was before, in terms of being able to see it. What I really want is a camera where I can zoom in right on what I'm seeing. I think that'll be most useful for people trying to replicate stuff. And I'm not just doing tents on this channel, obviously, and I've got all kinds of things that I work on. So my goal is to show how I do stuff, you know, in the hopes that, well, in the knowledge that other people want to know how to do stuff. I've learned an awful lot by watching YouTube videos, and so I figured I know how to do a couple of things, and maybe I'll show them and help somebody else out to kind of pay back what I've been able to learn from other folks. Some pretty cool stuff out there, and it's really helped me learn how to do a whole bunch of new things. In terms of this stuff, I mean, some of it I had to figure out on my own, but a lot of it, especially tents specifically, is you know, other people did some research and then shared it with people and me, and we talked about it, and you know, then I went on and did some of my own research beyond that. At least the initial part of it was due to somebody else taking the time to share what they had learned, so I figured I should do some of that, you know, help other people. Okay, so we got left over right, right over left, pull it, trim it, done. Alright, so, alright, going in at the top, drag through, leave this tail, go back through the center hole, over to the side a bit. You don't have to go very far out. You know, the hem's 1.5 inches wide. I'm going into the center of it, and just, you know, roughly 3/4 of an inch over, 5/8. I mean, it doesn't need to be measured. What you want when you're done is roughly a circular shape. That's it. It doesn't have to be precise. It's not measured, and I'm positive they weren't measuring these when they were doing them. They were, I imagine, doing them just like this. You know, we've got hundreds of these. If you figure they're making hundreds, even dozens, or a few, even if you're making a few tents, you've got dozens of these to make. There are, on this tent, for example, there are 13 stakes. Each of those stakes requires a pair of grommets. So there's 26, and the doors each have an extra, well, there's one extra one there. So it's like, you gotta do 28 grommets on your, it's not supposed to be precious. This is, they've got to get these out to the soldiers in the field. You've got hundreds of troops out there who need a place to live, and they need to march north. So, you know, get the tents built. That's, I think, how things were going at the time. You know, if they're in the warehouses in Williamsburg and Fishkill and some of the other places where they had depots, you know, they put it in order. They need stuff for their guys. And we need so many hats, and I need 3 tents, and I need some kettles for them to cook in, you know, all that kind of stuff. All right, let's take a look here and see how many we have done and how many left to do. I've got 2, oh, I've got 1 to do here. Those are done. Those are done. And that's it. So just 1 more. So let's knock that one out, and then we'll put the ropes in. So up through, leave the tail, make the cross, subdivide it. Almost as fast as I can say it, it's done. You know, not quite done yet, but it's, these go really fast. And they look cool. So, I mean, even if you're doing modern camping gear, you know, I know some, you know, I wouldn't mind using this. You know, I've got some 18th century tarps that I've made, and they had tarpaulins and wagon covers and things. I've made a couple out of this material or similar to it. Actually, I made a couple out of exactly this material. And, you know, got one out back that I use. This is how I do it, and I use it for modern purposes sometimes. And, you know, nothing wrong with the old school. There's a reason they've been using linen for 4,000 years at least, all around the world. I just saw this, saw some photos the other day of a couple of Egyptian shirts they found in a tomb, I think. Not only are they beautiful, they're like stylish and chic. I mean, I'd wear them today. Well, the man's, and there's a man's and a woman's. They look great, and after 4,000 years, you know, to look at them, you wouldn't know they were 10 years old. You know, they're in great condition. So there's a reason people use this material for a very long time, and probably will continue to. So that is that. I think that's the last grommet of the back. Now, so the sides are done, the back is done. I need my needle nose pliers. Let me put this stuff up. I need my needle nose pliers. And I'm going to open these holes up. I'm going to measure out and cut a bunch of short rope sections. We're going to run ropes through here so the tent can be attached to the ground with tent stakes. So let me find my tools, and where is my scissors? I'm just going to turn the camera here gently so I don't make you seasick, I hope. And I'll bang out. How many do I need here? Let's see. Let's bang out. I don't have a. All right. This is complete, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to do. So I need 4 ropes. You see this? Right about where. I'm trying to see on the floor where. Right where my knee is. If I work here, you can see what I'm doing. How about that? All right, so just get my yardstick. My rope and my scissors. This is hemp rope. And some of the orders from the period for tents, they ordered, there was one for, I think it was, I forget how many fathoms of tent line it was, maybe 5 or something like that. And I think a fathom is 6 feet. You can then figure out, you know, exactly how much they're using for, they called it tent line, and I'm assuming that's roughly equivalent to this stuff. It's kind of cool seeing those orders, because then you can approximate how much material went into the thing and recreate it more accurately. There we go. Okay, that's that. So I'm going to just take these. I'll move. You know what? Let me show you how to do this. I'll put this up on the camera here. So the way I knot these is I just run it around, run this through here once, twice, hold the end firmly, and then kind of work this up. I don't want this to pull out. They almost never do. So that's all it is to it. And I do that on every end. So don't need the scissors. I do need the oils. Where are they? Trouble with a busy carpet is I can't. There we go. Just no contrast. Stuff gets lost in the pattern. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and knot one end of each of these pieces of rope. Let's turn this again. You see? Yeah. All right, so again, loop, run it through, hold the end, and then just work it up there. Get it close to the end. That one's a little far away. If you think about it too much, like I'm doing here, because I'm trying to explain what I'm doing, it doesn't go quite as well all the time. So there we go. Just work it up toward the end. You don't want it falling off, but really you want most of that rope for the stakes. So just do that, secure it, and go on to the next. And we're going to do the same finish knot on the other end. Once we pass these through the holes we've made, this is going to secure them in there. There is at least one, and I think 2, maybe more, examples of, I think they use, of 18th century tents with, they used like washers. I think it was some kind of fruit wood, I don't know, a pear or you know, some tightly grained wood that they made washers for. I don't know if that was Washington's marquee or if it was one of the tents in Austria, but there are
examples also of just doing it this way. And I haven't seen any orders. I've seen orders for the materials for a tent that include tent line, twine, which is what I was sewing with, and linen, and that was it. Nothing for hooks and eyes, or you know, a button or a toggle or anything like that. No description of them that I've ever seen. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, it just means that I've never seen it. And likewise, in none of the orders in Virginia that I've seen for Revolutionary War tents during the Revolution did I see anything like, you know, adding washers behind these or anything like that. You know, so this is how I do them. Just the ingredients that I have seen on their things. So I just use the needle nose to open these up. So now they're nice and open. And I am going to just pass this rope through. So here's the knotted end. I'm just going to pass it through here to the front, from the back, and there. And now, loop it across. You know what? I should have done it this direction, right? So open that up. You may have to twist it a bit. You know, the rope has a natural twist. If you do a right hand twist to it, then it'll drill its way in there without unraveling. So anyway, pull it through. Got that knot secured there. Same thing as on the other side. Just run it 1, 2, and then tighten it up toward the end. Really lock it down. And voila, you're done. Next. So this one, I'm going to learn from that past mistake. Open it up, this one up from the back, and this one up from the front, because that's the way I'm going to pass these. So put a piece of rope through. Pass this one through this way and drill it in. Knot it. Pull it tight. And that's it. There's nothing more to it than that. And so now the tent stake will hold this part to the ground. See, we got a couple of viewers on the stream live, and that's really gratifying. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for spending some time here. I hope I can make this worth your while. If you got any questions, put them in the chat. I'm happy to talk. I had a guy drop in the other night when I was live streaming, and we ended up talking for 2 hours, and I learned a whole lot about his interest in living history, and I was able to show him how to do a couple of things, and we had a good time. So glad you're here. There we go. And the last one of this series. I still have to do the doors, but apart from the doors, the tent's done. So this is a big night. This one, open it from the back, this from the front. And one more rope. I'm going to run it through like that. Drill this in. Tighten this down. Just really pull it tight. You don't want that coming loose. And there we go. So, ta-da! I'm happy. That's cool. So, let's see what we got. Once you've done all this, it is helpful to periodically take a look at your work and see what you got going on, and make sure you haven't overlooked something, or in my case, gotten so enthusiastic about it that, trying to get a better angle here, that I've overlooked something important. Just take a quick look at this section, and then we're going to get going a little bit the doors. Okay. First thing to do is find the top of the tent. Here's the bell that we just completed. Here are the doors, which we do not need at the moment. drag this into the center of my tent loft here so you can see what I'm looking at. But, you see that? Yeah. All right, so here we go. So these are the sides of the tent. Top's up there. This is the bell. Haha, cool. So these are the ones we just put in. These are ready to set up. Now if all goes well, if all my angles are right, if all the construction is solid, I know the construction's solid, I'm not worried about that. If all the angles are right, and I'm sure they are, because I checked them. From here back, the tent's done and ready to use for hopefully hundreds of years. Hopefully this will be well taken care of for a very long time, and it doesn't even have to be that well taken care of. I'm not particularly precious about mine. One thing we do is we just never put it away wet. So if we're at an event and it rains, we wait until we either dry it, leave it standing up. If you get rain overnight on Saturday night, wait until it's dry Sunday. If you get some sunshine and a breeze, it'll dry in a couple hours, and then you can pack it up and bring it out for the next time you camp. If you do have to pack it up and take it home wet, set it up somewhere. It is the best way. If it's sunny on Monday morning, set it up and let it sit in the sun and the breeze for a couple hours, and it'll be fine. And then you can pack it up and put it away. So keep it away from fire. Don't smoke in the tent. Don't use a candle lantern. Do not put it anywhere near a campfire. If you look at the blue book, my Stoyman's manual, I think he shows the camp kitchens well away from where the troops were camped. And there's a good reason for that. So keep all sources of flame or fire and heat away from these things. Apart from that, there's not a whole lot to do to maintain it. They're pretty easy to take care of and pretty easy to use. Wow. All right, well, that's awesome. So now it's on to the doors. It's so cool to see this like this. I think I'm going to try folding this part. Maybe not. I don't know. How do I want to do this? Do I want to take it apart? I think I should, huh? Need to think about it for a minute. Let me think about this for a few minutes. For now, I'm going to fold this end and just get it out of the way. So, all right, let's turn it around and work on this direction. Give this some thought because dust on there. So the mark was here. That goes. All right, this is going to require a little bit of brain power. I'm going to get a cup of coffee, and I need to adjust my camera too. Right, you can't see that. So bear with me. I'll return very, very shortly. I need a cup of coffee though, because this requires a little bit of thought. So I'll be right back. I just realized that my audio is off. Um, there's something I want to double check before I finish this. The rest of the tent is complete except the door's hem. I was just looking at the engraving, one of the engravings that I based this on, and I have a question about it. And so I'm going to go set this tent up very quickly outside. I have my stakes up, my poles are out there, it's ready to go. I had it set up earlier today and I was looking over it and it all checked out. I made a change to the angle of the door cut, and I want to double check that. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm really glad you're here. I hope you can either stick around and watch the stream. It's our stream out in the woods for 20 minutes or so while I go set this up and double check my angle, or drop back. But I'm glad you're here. This is important just because this is the last and very important operation of making the tent. But I'll be finishing it up tonight after I get back in, I don't know, 15, 20, probably 20 minutes. As soon as I get back, I'm going to set to sewing it, and I expect to finish tonight in just a few hours. So, but I'll be back in 20 minutes. Thanks again for coming by. I hope you like the stream. I hope you find this content useful. If you do, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you very shortly. it's just fine. I had it set up earlier. I think I said this a few minutes ago. I had it set up earlier today, checked it in the clear light of day, and it's really good. And now I've just set it up now after having finished the bell. We've got, you know, 4 sides of it essentially completed, and or 3 sides really. And it sets up great. It's all nice and even. So now it's time to do the doors. The doors are done. They're, you know, the assembly's in. All I have to do is the hem, and so I'm going to iron that angle down and set the hems just like I did on the rest of it. Put the grommets and the ropes in, and the tent is complete. So now let's set it up once more just to look at the whole thing as a completed object, and that's it. So let's get to it. Let's get to work. We've got a bunch to do still, but boy, this is exciting. So let me see here. How do I want to do this? Find the door. Where's the door? Okay. So first thing to do is just spread it out evenly, you know. That's the inside, this way. Let's find the top. There we go. I will endeavor to get the camera angle to be a little more useful to you guys, but I really need to, my main focus is on getting this right rather than getting it photogenic, so I hope you'll bear with me as I get this. All right, so now, let's see, I suppose I could turn this a little bit this way, right? Can we do that? Not really, it's not that gonna drop down a bit. Yeah, it gets more of it in. How's that? There we go. That's better. Okay. So, let me, okay, now we're cooking. That's all right. I want to smooth this out, spread it out evenly. When you're doing this, if you're making one for yourself, you want to just always try to keep it symmetrical, right? I mean, you know, one side should be the same as the other within a certain tolerance, right? Tolerance is kind of loose if you think back to the period of revolution, but they knew what they were doing. It's all handmade though, and they're getting these out quickly, so imagine there was some variation in them. That is not to say they were sloppily made. It's just that they were not well, I don't know what this is saying, but I think you get the idea. I'm just going to smooth this out a bit. The neater it is, the easier it is to see where you are and what you're doing. So I like to get it all spread out properly, get it all the bunches out and all that stuff. So let's get this folded over. Don't forget that. This is the bell back. It's complete and it looks great. So I set that up. And this is going to be a nice tent. And before dawn. So, all right, we got the doors. We got the. Stretch this. Get some of these wrinkles out. All right. So, we're going to do this just like we did the other side. Actually, I'm going to do one and match the other to it. These should both be the same. So, I think I want to open this up right now. Right? Don't I? So I've got my angle. Now I'm going from here to here. Now on the other side, same thing. From here to here. You know, from there back here on the other side. Straight line. So it's important that this is smoothed out. I don't want bunches here because that'll throw off the angle. I just want a nice straight angle. This is an exercise in geometry. My 11th grade geometry teacher would be proud of me, I think. But maybe I'll send him a link. Maybe it was 10th grade. I don't remember. Might have been 10th grade. Especially since I started the year off under less than auspicious circumstances. He was explaining what a strict classroom he ran, and for one reason or another, I had a ballpoint click pen, and unscrewed it and managed to launch the cartridge into his back while he was up writing his name on the board. And so it was a rough start for me. But I learned a lot, and I think I did okay in the class, as I recall. Yeah, I guess so. All right, what's now? I need my straight edge. And I want to run a line from here at this crease, and you can't see that. I'm sorry about that, but you know what? Maybe I have to drop this a little lower. How about we do that? Because that's where I'm going to be. Most of the work is going to be taking place. So bear with me a moment as I adjust the height of the tripod. Whoa! Sorry about that. You didn't know you'd be getting motion sickness on live stream, did you? I'll do my best to minimize that. Let me switch to my live camera view. Is that better? Yeah. Cool. That's where I'm working. Anyway, so all right. So here's what we're going to do. This is the end that has the doors. Where's my yardstick? I'm going to run a line from this corner where we have the finished hem and the finished seam. I'm going to go from there along this line straight across to this point. So what I want to do is get my chalk. Where's my chalk? Chalk was in my pocket, right? If not, I'll go find my. Oh, I had it. Okay. So I'm going to run a line from there to there. I'm going to do that on the other side. I want these to match, and I'm going to put a chalk line there. I'm going to just the same as I did on the other hems. I'm going to run the main fold line, and then two lines below that for one's a cut line and one is the top of the hem as it's folded up underneath. And that's really all there is to it. Like from here on out, it's straightforward. The really only tricky part of this is getting the angles right, getting your measurements right, and then doing careful work all the way through. If you do that, you will wind up taking two-dimensional fabric and turning it into a three-dimensional structure that'll maybe not replicate, but closely resemble the tents used by soldiers in the American Revolution in the 1770s. And it'll be fun to camp in, and it'll last a long time, and all the good stuff about it. I know, I'm something of a Lenin tent evangelist. I fell in love with these, and I don't know why really. I mean, I liked camping since I was a kid, but you know, I usually use modern tents, or camped out under the stars, or motor homes, or campers, or cabins, or whatever. But I just love these tents. I love waking up in one of these. I like being in a thunderstorm in one of them. I like watching it dry after it rains. I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is about it. It's kind of weird, I suppose, but I dig it. How do I want to do this? I want to extend this. That's what I want. I'm going to use this other stick to help extend this line, because I've got about 6 inches here where the yardstick doesn't cover. So I'm going to put my reading glasses on because I'm old and blind. I'm going to run this line. Let me make sure my audio is on. I forgot to turn it on last time. There we go. Okay, that's good. All right. So I'm going to run this line from the edge of this seam to my mark here. And what I want to do is just make sure that it matches up on there where it should. So before I do that, I want to smooth this again just to be sure that I take out any unnecessary tension or slack in this fabric. I want it to be, I want a symmetrical, nice door. So the more care you take at this stage, do my seams line up? Yeah, I can feel the other seam underneath here. That's nice. I don't want big bunches because then you're going to get a weird angle. I don't want weird angles, I want good angles. So there we go, right? We're done with that. It's nice. All right, let's mark it. So we'll take this. We're going to go from here. I'm going to use this stick to extend it, but I want to make sure that I can see my mark. So I'm going to put another chalk line on that right there. I might even go down a little bit. I think that's a little high. There we go. Go for the center of that. How about that? This here, like so. Smooth this. It's another reason I like using the carpet for this phase. Most of the time, if you watch the other live streams where I'm making this, most of the other streams I just worked on the wood floor. It's very good for that because you can sling the linen around smoothly and quickly. Here I want just the opposite. I want some friction on there, so I put a carpet down, and that helps hold the layers as I work them, so I can keep them smooth and match side to side, you know. So, all right, I think we're ready. Let's put this on. So here, we're gonna go from this corner, shoot right to there. And then across, let's put this on this edge. We're just gonna keep it on there like that, right? Basically, I'm just making a long straight edge here, that's all. Just keep that parallel. There you go, there's your line, right? All right, now I'm going to kneel on it, so we're going to move. Make sure we're on that line. I don't want it flexing in one direction or the other. I just want it to go straight down the line. And let's go. Nice heavy line here so I can fold this stuff and not have it wipe away. Just want to be able to see that line all the way down. Again. Here. All right. There we go. That's all there is to that. There's my line. Almost a little higher. But I just double checked it. Should be fine and dandy. We know. I'm going to double check. I'm going to do that by getting one of my existing tents. I'm going to lay it atop this. Just look at it again. Just to, what we have here is one of my. Actually, this is my first tent, and I know it works. You find the doors, which is right here. Just going to stretch it out on top and see how closely these angles match. These measurements, and we're just going to look at it. Seam roughly in the same place. Smooth out any unnecessary weirdness from it. Now my original should be very slightly smaller than the new one because the stuff shrinks a bit when it gets wet and dried. And then it stretches, of course, as it's used and blown in the wind and stuff. So it won't be precisely the same size, but it's pretty close. Let's move this over a bit. Hey there, cat. Okay, my assistant Scout has returned from her nap, which may mean that I'm going to have some interference as I sew this, but and what I'm looking for is not an exact match, but we get close to that. There we go. Double check my seams are close. This is drawn back. I think I need to move it forward a bit. That gets pulled down. Okay. We are right in that line. You see the scalloping here. This stuff shrinks more than the seams do. The seams are more solid now. Also, the body of the tent is shrunken that way, so it's a little bit shorter. Let me try to pull this. I will line up down there. That's pretty good though. You line these seams up, you get a better idea of how the angles match, right? So, come this way a bit. Not a lot. It's pretty close. All right, so this lines up pretty good. I think I still want to. All right, I like that. See, I think that's a little. I think I'm going to drop this just a little bit. I think I want to do that. Now this will scallop, and this will a bit, very slightly, but it's not nothing. These seams are different because after I made, this was the first one I made, after I made this one, I learned a thing or two, and one of those things I learned is that these, this door seam is more toward the center of the thing than I built this one. So I adjusted my template, and now I cut them a little bit more this direction. I think it's a bit more authentic to how it was done. All right, yeah, I think I want to drop this down a bit. I hate doing this kind of adjustment on the fly, but I think that's where it needs to go. Doesn't need much change though. Like really, let's see. Like I might even just do it the width of the stick on end. I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go just the barest amount down. Unless the top, maybe the top's different. No, the top's pretty good. That's all right. All right, let me think about this for a minute. I'm gonna, there's nobody here anyway, so I'll be back. I'm gonna take a minute and think this over. Once I make this cut, then we're sort of locked in, forever. And I want to be sure it's right. So, BRB. I'll see you when I'm done with this part. Okay? Just take a nap. Play later. When I'm done with this, I'll throw the ball for you and we'll have a good time. All right? Well, you just chill out for a little bit. And then we'll have a good time when I'm done with this work. All right. We got the mic open still? No? Yes? Of course. All right. Well, anyhow. Conversations with kittens. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just push this just a little bit down. I just want to adjust this angle very slightly toward that way. And And I think that will give me a better result. So I'm gonna do that right now. Just like this. Where's my chalk? And yeah, that's what I want. I want to go just that direction. I think this will give me a better result, so we're going to do that. One of the things that I try to balance when I'm doing these, and this is, I haven't, I probably could talk to an engineer about this, but one of the things I try to balance is like the stretch and the shrink of the material versus the the stretch is the tension of it, right? Because each of the seams has a stake at the end of it, and all the interior stuff does not. So it shrinks a certain degree when it gets wet, a certain amount. And is that right? I think that's right. Fold on that line. There's your line. Let's make it. So it takes me forever to make one of these decisions, but once I do, then it just flies. So maybe that's because of the certainty of it once I've done it. I think we're ready here. Let me heat the iron up. Let's get rolling. Yeah, I like this angle a little bit better. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, it's, I think, exactly where it needs to be. So we're gonna let this heat up for just a minute or two. And then I'm gonna fold on this line. Scissors. Cut that off. These are my markers. I find it useful from making marks that, plus these are temporary to set it up, but it's helpful if you're making marks and sometimes chalk can wear away and stuff, so you want a more permanent mark. I use thread or twine. Okay, let's see here. Let's take this one out too. Right? Just make sure you don't cut important stuff. This one comes out too. That's done. Where's this one? That one's done. And that is that. Right, well, this can come out also. So these stitches down the front of the doors were to help me assemble it and keep, you want an overlap of the doors. So I put a loose temporary stitching down the front to help hold them in place while I work on it. Now that the body and the bell and everything is complete and I've got my angles for the doors, now they're just in the way down here, so I remove them. And as I work on this, I will at some point be removing the rest of it, but for now it stays. Okay, this is ready to fold. Or it's ready to mark for, okay, iron's hot, so let me get my cut line. That's a better mark there. Again, so we're dropping an inch and a half from that fold line. Don't want this one. Don't want that other one. So we drop an inch and a half from that, and then this will be the hem, and then one more, and that'll be the cut line. This stick happens to be exactly an inch and a half, so it makes a good template. Nice straight edge for this marking. All right, so just fuzz out there. And I'm just going to put one more in here in the center just to make sure I bridge those lines. I like to do that when I'm using straight edge. Do two ends and then you connect them, but overlap the stuff you've already done, and then you can be certain it's pretty good. here, here. Again, as I said before when I was cutting the others, mark this cut line, and then I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch inside it because there's a thickness to the material, so you want to account for that and give it enough room that it's not, you don't want a big bunch of stuff in there. You want it to just lay flat and nice in there. So there we go. That's that. So this one's ready to cut. And then I can iron it, and I'll flip it over and I'll do the other one. Ow! All right, here we go. Make sure you're only cutting through one. But here we go. Nervous? First time? No, I've been nervous lots of times. Whew. All right. So here we go. Here we go. That's it. So now we're going to fold this up underneath itself, just along that chalk line. Hit it with steam. I want to open this up though, so I don't put a crease in there necessarily on the other piece. So let's do that right now. Linen loves steam. You just hit this with a steam iron and it'll hold a really nice edge. Okay, just like that. You want to keep a nice straight edge here. If you see any bumps or divots in it, you just straighten them out and adjust them. You can do that even after you've ironed it once or twice. You can still go back and correct it. It's worth doing. It's a nice straight edge. Now it's going to tighten. When this gets wet and dries, it's gonna, all this stuff's gonna tighten up, which makes it cool. That's why it really looks like a tent. It's seen some weather, right? So let's do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna just take this piece here. I'm gonna undo. Where's my seam ripper? Finally, using my seam ripper. Not that I look forward to using it ever, because usually it means there's been an error. But in this case, it's just a good tool for this. I'm just gonna slide this in. I don't really need it here, actually. So anyway, I'm undoing some of that stitching, the temporary stuff, just so I can fold this in underneath. You know? Once I do that, then I can, I'll match these doors. So I'm going to fold this from this point. I know it goes to that point. It doesn't go any further or less. I'm going to put this under here for now. And in fact, I can kind of see where it was. I sort of lost my mark, but luckily I have it here. So I'm going to put this on this way. And now I'm just going to match these. Pull it out, push it, whatever you need to get it to line up. And that's already pretty close. You just finesse it until it matches. Check occasionally to see if your seams are pretty well aligned and that there aren't any big bumps or slack parts of the linen. And then you can be reasonably certain that you're getting a symmetrical result. Somewhat surprisingly, this looks like it's right on already. So let's hit it. It actually looks like it's a little bit too big. But I could draw it in just a little bit, I think. Just to do that, I just roll it a little bit. Not much. I mean, it's real close. And again, once this is, who's ever going to see this stuff? I want to protect that from the floor. And protect the floor from it, so I'll put the towel down. Put this back on here. Just make sure that we get a nice even result. There. Okay. There we go. Let it run here. And that's that. That's all there is to it. Now we are going to roll, let's see, this one. Let's go ahead and do this one first, I guess. We could do the other one, Ow. I'll tell you what.